In today's video, I'll be going back in time and retaking the exact same GCSE test I took 2 years ago today. Okay, so here is the paper. If you're not from the UK, these are GCSE tests which you take when you're 15 or 16, end of year 11. So I took this on the 19th of May, 2023. I think it'll be really interesting to see if I've gone up, gone down, maybe stayed the same. This is a non-calculator test as well, so I won't be using any calculators to help me with this. Okay, you may have noticed I'm in a different setup today. That's because I tried to do this video in the usual studio, but my OBS and my laptop do not go together very well. Okay, let's have a look at the first question. So question 1, 8.46 divided by 0.15. The way I would do this is I would multiply both of these by 100. So that would give us 846 divided by 15. Now that's much easier to answer because there's no decimal places to worry about. So since we haven't got a calculator, we're just going to bung it into a bus stop method. So first we try 15 divided by 8, obviously doesn't work. Next we do 15 divided by 84, which definitely does work. And 15 times 5 is 75. And 15 times 6 is 90. So we can only do the 5 for now. And the remainder of that 75 is 9, so we add the 9 onto the 6. So that is now 96 at the end. And as we've said before, 90 divided by 15 is 6. So we put this 56 now, and we add a decimal point, and we add a 0. That's just how you do it. Don't know why, it's just how it works. And we can add the remainder onto the start of that 0. So that's a 6. And if you can read an analog clock, you'll know that 60 divided by 15 is 4. So the answer there is 56.4. The thing with these GCSE tests is they usually start quite easy and gradually get harder. So let's go to question 2. We have 7 3/8 minus 2 1/2. So already I'm thinking, can we convert these into improper fractions? So we do 7 times 8, which is 56, add the 3, and that would get us 59/8 on the left side. Okay, then we convert the 2 1/2, so we minus 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5/2. So next I would want to convert the 5/2 into eighths. So to get 2 to 8, we'd multiply it by 4, which means 5/2 equals 2 times 4 and 5 times 4, so that would be 20. So we now have 59/8 minus 20/8. And that's much easier to do, and you'll find that the answer there is obviously 39/8. Okay, question 3. A cube has a total surface area of 150 centimeters squared. Work out the volume of the cube. Okay, the first thing I would want to do here is I would just say that one side of this cube, just one length side, is equal to x. I'm sure that will help us later on. So the surface area of one side of the cube must be equal to x squared. And the cube has 6 sides. So that means 6x cubed equals 50. So 6x squared equals 150. So the easy way to do that is we'll just divide 150 by 6 and square root it. So the first thing I'd do is I would divide 150 by 6. So I would shove it in another bus stop. So we do 150 divided by 6, and you'll find that that gives us 25. And as long as you know your square numbers, you'll know that the square root of 25 is 5. So we now know that one side of this cube is 5 centimeters. And the way you work out the volume of a cube is you cube the one side, so 5 cubed. And that will give us 5 times 5 times 5, which will equal 125. So great, 125 centimeters cubed. Interestingly, we're only on question 3, and these questions are already getting somewhat difficult. Right, question 4. The table shows information about the daily rainfall of a town in 60 days. Okay, we need to draw a frequency polygon. I know I did this test 2 years ago, but I do not remember this. A frequency polygon. Okay, I have no idea what to do this with one. Okay, a frequency polygon. I have no idea how to draw one of these, to be honest. My only idea would be to connect the point it's at the start of these boundaries in this. So these boundaries here, to where they finish in the frequency. Yeah, to be honest, this is the best I've got. I have no idea how to do this one. I don't remember this question either, so... Okay, question 5, classic Venn diagram. So this top row here tells us the number, all the values that we have to deal with. So A is the odd numbers. All odd numbers will go inside this circle here, and all square numbers will go inside this circle here. However, any that overlap, so odd square numbers, would have to go in the centre. So we'll start with 1. Is 1 an odd number? Yes. Is 1 a square number? It is actually, because 1 times 1. Okay, so 1 will go in the middle because it's a odd number and a square number, interestingly. Okay, 2. 2 is not an odd number and it's also not a square number, so we put it in this area around the outside. 3 is an odd number, but it's not a square number, so it will go in A. 4 is a square number, but not an odd number, so it will go in B. 5 is just an odd number. 6 is neither. 7 is just an odd number. 8 is nothing. 9 is a square and an odd number, so it goes in the centre. And 10 is nothing. Okay, that's good. Okay, we also have a part B to this question. A number is chosen at random from the universal set. Find the probability that this number is in set B prime. Now, B prime means not B. So we have to look at all these numbers and which ones are not in B at all. So 4 is obviously in B, so we forget that one. 1 and 9, while they are also in A, they are in B as well. So we forget 4, 1 and 9. And we know there's 10 numbers and there's 3 that we do not include. So that means the probability that a number is in the set is not B is 0.3. There we go, 0.3. Question 6, a scatter graph. Shows me information about the ages and weights of some babies. Okay, so we have to describe the relationship between the age and weight of the babies. Luckily, I remember how to answer these questions. You have to talk about the correlation. So obviously we can see that it is a positive correlation. And you also have to discuss whether it is a strong correlation or a weak correlation. Now, there's a bit of variation, but I would agree that this is a strong correlation. So this is a strong positive correlation. Okay, we've also got a part B to this question. Another baby has a weight of 5.8 kilograms. Using the scatter graph, find an estimate for the age of this baby. So what you'd have to do is draw a line of best fit, which I've already done actually, and I think, yeah, that's fairly accurate line of best fit. And we look where 5.8 is on the weight. So there's 5 there. So 5.8 will be about there. So we extend this line across. And where does that meet? There. So then we extend that down to the age. I've messed it up a bit, but there. So that's 3 there. So that's about 3.8. So we put 3.8 months here. Okay, question 7. Price for a holiday increases by 20%. And this 20% increase adds £240 to the price of the holiday. What was the price before? So once again, we'll use some algebra and say the price of the holiday before is X. And you also need to know that a 20% increase is called a multiplier by 1.2. So the price of the holiday before X multiplied by 1.2 equals the new price. So the way I would do this is I would multiply the 240 by 5. Because 20% is 1/5 of the 100%. So we do 240 times by 5, and I've worked that out at 1,200. So I think the price of the holiday before is £1,200. Okay, question 8. This is another question I remember. So this is a cylinder. It actually gives you the pressure equation as force over area. So we'll need to use that. So the volume of this cylinder is 1,200 and the height is 40. And it also tells us that the cylinder exerts 90 newtons on the floor. So we have to work out the pressure on the floor due to the cylinder. So we've got the pressure equation with force over area. So it's told us that the cylinder exerts a force of 90 newtons. So we can already substitute that into the equation. So the pressure, use P as for pressure, equals 90 over the area. Area is A. So that's our first part. If we want to calculate the pressure, we'll need to find the area. So we have to use this volume here. 1,200 is the volume, and area multiplied by the height, which is 40, will give you the volume. So what we have to do is 1,200, the volume, divided by the height, will equal the area. So once again, another bus stop, 40 and 1,200, that gives us 30. So that means we can substitute that 30 into the pressure equation, which means we have pressure equals 90 over 30, which is obviously 3. Okay, question 9, we have simultaneous equation graphs. These are usually quite difficult. So let's have a look what's going on. Right, so we've got these two equations both plotted on this graph. Okay, luckily this one isn't too difficult because as you can see we have 2y and 2y in both of these equations. Obviously this one is a minus 2y, but that shouldn't be an issue. So we're going to take this first equation, equation number 1, we'll call it 1, and we'll call this one 2. So from equation number 1, we're going to take the minus 2y and add it on both sides of the equation. So on the left side, it would go 2 minus 2y plus 2y, which equals just 0, equals 2y, because we're adding the 2y onto both sides, plus the x that was already there. Now we're just going to take the x off, so we have 2 minus x equals 2y. Great. So now 2y is in both equations on its own, which means we can substitute the equations into each other, and now we get 2 minus x equals 3x minus 22. Okay, we can simplify that to 24 equals 4x. So we just divide 24 by 4 and x must be 6. And now this is the easy bit. To find y, we just substitute 6 into either of these. Easiest one would probably be equation 2, 2y equals 3x minus 22. The 3x equals 18 because 6 times 3. So we're left with 2y equals 18 minus 22, which means 2y equals 4, which means y equals 2. Sorry, y equals minus 2, because 18 minus 22 equals minus 4. So y must equal minus 2. Okay, question 10, a pentagon. We'd find the angle of AED, which is this one here. The thing you need to know about a pentagon is its internal angles add up to 540. We're also told that AED, the one we're trying to find, is 1/4 of ABC, this one here. So once again, let's bring the algebra in. We have this is x, and ABC must be 1/4 of x. So what we do is we add up the angles we already know. So 120 plus 135 plus 110, that equals, give me a minute to work this out, it equals 365. And we need 540. So we do 540 minus the 365, which equals 175. So that tells us that this angle at B plus this angle at E must equal 175. So we have two terms for the angle at E and the angle at B. We have x and 1/4 of x. Just so we can have integer numbers of x, we're going to multiply both by 4. So that means 175 must equal 4x plus x. Which means 175 must equal 5x. And all we do then, another bus stop method, 175 divided by 5, which equals 35. So then all we do is 35 times 4, and that will give us 140. So that means the angle at E must be 140 degrees. Okay, question 11. This looks really difficult, but it's not too bad. Right, first thing we'd have to do is expand the bracket at the top, because as you can see, it's 6x to the power 5 multiplied by y to the power 3, all of it squared. So what we do is we square the 6 to get 36, and then the x to the power 5 will become x to the power of 10, and y to the power 3 will become y to the power of 6. And then we've got that all over this there. So now let's deal with the bottom half of the fraction. 3x squared times by y to the power of 7 times by 4x to the power multiplied by y to the minus 3. That's a mouthful. So 4 times 3 will just leave us with 12. That's easy. Now x squared multiplied by another x will just leave us with x cubed. And y to the power of 7 multiplied by y to the minus 3 will just leave us with y to the minus 4. Okay, so now we have a much simpler equation. So we have 36 as the coefficient on the top and 12 as the coefficient on the bottom. 12 times 3 is 36, so we can just get rid of the 12, get rid of 36, and have a 3 here. And because the x cubed and the y to the minus 4 are on the bottom, we invert the signs. So that becomes x to the minus 3 and y to the 4. And then we just add them. So that would become 3x to the power of 10 minus 3 from the power of 10 leaves 3x to the power of 7. Then y to the minus 4 becomes y to the 4. So we add the 4 to the 6, it leaves us with y to the 10. So there is our equation, and it's in that right form. So we have 3x to the power of 7, y to the power of 10. Perfect. Question 12, we have a probability tree diagram. These are usually quite simple. So we have to find the probability that she loses at least one game. So how many ways can she do that? She can go win and loss, or loss and win. Or loss and loss, because she needs to lose at least one game. So she could lose 2. So we have win, lose, or lose, win, or lose, lose. So the way we would work this out is the first one, the win, lose, we do 5 over 8 multiplied by 7 over 9, and that gives us 35 over 72. So now let's do lose win. That will be 3 over 8 multiplied by 2 over 9. And that will give us 6 over 72. And now let's do lose lose, which would be 3 over 8 multiplied by 7 over 9, which will give us 21 over 72. And now all we have to do is add 35, 6 and 21. So I've added it up in my head. I believe that's 62 over 72. And that's our answer, 62 over 72. Okay, fairly easy question. Next one. Y is directly proportional to x. And when y equals 24, x equals 1.5. So when x equals 5, what is y? Okay, so this is a ratio question. So we have y and x as our ratios. So when 24 is y, x is 1.5. So what do we do to 1.5 to get it to 5? So to get 1.5 to 5, we have to multiply the 1.5 by 10 over 3. So we're just going to do that on the opposite side. 24 times 10 over 3, that's a bit difficult. So we'd have 24 over 1 multiplied by 10 over 3. And then we just multiply. So that's 240 over 3, which we can simplify down by bus stop method. And that leaves us with 80. So therefore, when x is 5, y must be 80. Okay, next question, question 14. Okay, right, 1 over 16 in the form 4 to the n, where n is an integer. Okay, this is quite difficult. I remember doing this question 2 years ago and I definitely got it wrong, because I didn't know about this rule until I started doing A-levels. So 4 can just be written as 4 to the power of 1, and 4 to the minus 1 can also be written as 1 over 4. So at least we've got a fraction with 1 at the denominator, but we've only got 4 on the base. So how do we get the 4 to become 16? We square it. So therefore we do 4 to the power of minus 2, which is an integer, equals 1 over 16. So the answer is 4 to the power of minus 2. I definitely got that wrong when I did the exam. So hopefully we're on for a better score than I got 2 years ago. Right, this part B is definitely another question I got wrong, and I don't even know if I could get it right now. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, I cannot even think about how to do this one. I know there's a method, but I cannot do it. So we're gonna have to skip this one. Okay, question 15, equations of lines. So you have to know that the equation of a line is y equals m, where m is the gradient, x plus c. So where it crosses the y-axis. So in L1, we can see we have this in the right form, where y does equal m, where y equals mx plus c, where m is 2 and c is minus 5. So that's fine. But L2 is not in the right form. So the way I would do it is I would want to get L2 into this form, y equals mx plus c. So I start with just keeping the 6y to make it easy, equals minus kx plus 12. So we've got 6x equals minus kx plus 12. Now we've got to get rid of the 6, so let's just divide everything by 6. So we get y equals minus kx all over 6 plus 12 over 6, which equals 2. So we're told in the question that these two lines are perpendicular, which tells us that their gradients are going to be negative reciprocals of each other. So the negative reciprocal of 2 is minus 1 over 2. So that means that minus k over 6 must equal minus 1 over 2. So therefore, k must equal 3 to make this. So k equals 3. Right, so on question 16 now. So we're 2/3 through now. There's 24 questions. So question 16, we've got a sphere. Sphere questions tend to be quite difficult. So they've given us the surface area of the sphere equation here. That will definitely help. So it's told us 3/8 of the surface area is 75 pi. And we need to find the diameter. So the diameter is obviously double the radius. So 75 pi equals 3/8. What I think we should do here is divide the 75 pi by 3. So we shove it in a bus stop method, and that gives us 25. Okay, so 25 pi is therefore 1/8. So we do 25 multiplied by 8 to find what 8/8 of it is. So we do 25 times 8, that gives us 200. So that tells us that the surface area is 200 pi. So therefore 4 pi r squared equals 200. 200 pi, in fact, sorry. So we can eliminate the pi's. We then just have to divide the 200 by 4. So we just put that in a bus stop. That gives us 50. So that tells us that r squared equals 50. So therefore r must equal the square root of 50. So the best way to solve that and to get it into this form, a root b, is we can do root 50. We can write root 50 as square root of 25 times 2. And the square root of 25 is 5, so that's 5 root 2. So 5 root 2 is the radius, but we need to find the diameter. So all we have to do is double the radius. So instead of 5 root 2, it's 10 root 2. So that's our answer, 10 root 2. Okay, now we need to make x the subject of this. Right, this might be difficult. First thing I would think is just expand what's on the top. So that would be 8x minus 28. And then what I'd probably do is, I'd probably multiply by the 5x plus 3. Yeah, that's probably the right way to go. This is another difficult one. I don't know what to do here. I don't think I can do this one, and it's a 4-marker one as well. That's not good. I'll come back to it later, see if I can, but I don't know how to do this one. Fuck, that's a difficult one. We're going to have to skip it. 7 kgs of carrots and 5 kgs of tomatoes. So let's do a bit of algebra. Carrots will be represented by C and tomatoes will be represented by T. So 1 kg of carrots to 1 kg of tomatoes is 5 to 9. Fuck, this is another difficult one as well. Right, that's the thing with these tests. You can suddenly get to a point where it suddenly gets really difficult. You've just got to hope you've got enough marks in the beginning, because a lot of these final questions, especially in the time restraints, you can't answer. Yeah, to be honest, I think I'm going to have to skip this one as well. Oh, fuck's sake. This is really difficult. This is far more difficult than I remember it being. I really hope my score hasn't gone down. Right, this is a good one. Menu in a restaurant has starters, main courses and desserts. 5 starters, 12 main courses and X desserts. Everyone's favourite, a bit more algebra. There's 420 different ways to choose 1 starter, 1 main course and 1 dessert. Work out the value of X. So the way you do this is it's 5 times 12 times X equals 420. So we can do 5 times 12 and that gives us 60. So then we just do 420 divided by 60. So shove it in on a bus stop, 420. First, we can just cancel the zeros anyway. So that's 6 divided by 42, and that gives us 7. So that's an easy one, that's just 7. Okay, so for x is greater than or equal to 0, the function f and g are given such that. Okay, g to the minus 1x, so that's the inverse of g. This is quite a difficult question as well. I can guarantee you I got this one wrong back in 2023. So we can rewrite that as y to the minus 1 equals this function. Right, so what we've got to do here is every function needs to be done the opposite. So dividing by 5 there, instead of dividing by 5 we'll have to multiply by 5. Square root of x there, square x, and plus 2 there will be minus 2. So that would leave us with 5, then bracket, x squared minus 2. So and we can expand that to 5x squared minus 10. Okay, gf of x equals 3. So what you have to do here is we have to substitute this f of x into g of x. So substitute 3x plus 4 wherever we see an x in g of x. So that would be the square root of 3x plus 4, and then plus 2 outside the square root, all that over 5. And we know that equals 3. So I'd start that by multiplying that all out by 5. So we then get 3x plus 4 in the square root, plus 2 still, and that equals 15. We can take away the 2, and that would give us 13. So we can take away the 2 to give us the square root of 3x plus 4 equals 13. Now all we have to do is square both sides, so 3x plus 4 equals, and square root of 13 is 169. 69. We can take away the 4 and that would give us 3x equals 165. Then we just shove it in a bus stop, running out of space, but we've shoved it in a bus stop. 165 divided by 3 gives us 55, so therefore x equals 55. Okay, this is a difficult looking shape here. So we're trying to find ADC. Where even is that? That's that angle there. So we know that ODC is 90 degrees because CE, this line here, is a tangent. Therefore, this angle here and there will be 90 degrees. So I think we would have to find this angle here and take it away from 90. To be honest, I don't think I can do this one. I've forgotten all of the circle theorems. I'm just going to try write out my workings that I've got and see how many marks we get from that, because it's out of 4. It's out of 4, so probably might get some working out marks, but probably not. So I'll write it out. Oh, these questions are really difficult. I know exactly what it wants, and I don't think I'll be able to do it anymore. I've forgotten all of this. Right, so AF is 6.8. Let's put that on there anyway. And F to C. So that diagonal line there is 13.6. The reason they put these questions in, it's so hard to image it in 2D. Okay, what they want us to do is find this angle here. that subtends from this line FC, this diagonal line, and the base of this cuboid. Okay, so this isn't even that difficult because you need to know your sine cosine rules. So we have this angle here. I'll leave that as x. Let's call that angle x. We have this hypotenuse, which is 13.6. So hypotenuse equals 13.6, and we have the opposite angle, which equals 6.8. And if you know your sine, cosine and tan rules, you'll know that the opposite over the hypotenuse equals sine to the -1 of x. So the opposite over the hypotenuse, that is 6.8 over 13.6, which is actually just 1 over 2. I don't know my sine values, so I'm gonna assume that it's, I'm gonna say x must be equal 30, but I really don't know. So I'm gonna give it 30 degrees, just because I know that is a value, but I really don't know. We've got this whole long equation. We have to get it into this form. Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to do this one either. It's not looking good. The only thing I can think to do is maybe cross multiply. So that would be this root 3 multiplied by this 3 root 3, and then 4 minus root 3 multiplied by the 2. So that would give us 3 root 3 times by root 3. 3 root 3, so root 3 multiplied by root 3 equals 3, and then 3 times 3 would equal 9. And we can fill that in on both of them, because the same either way. And then the 4 minus root 3 multiplied by 2. So that would be 8 minus 2 root 3 on both sides. And to be honest, I don't know where I'm going from here. I'm going to have to give up on this one and go final question. I'm not expecting much from this, but we'll give it a go. So 4x squared minus 25 is less than 0, and where 12 minus 5x minus 3x squared is greater than 0. Right, let's start with this one first because that seems a bit easier. Where is 4x squared minus 25 less than 0? So we can get that down to, we can rearrange that to 4x squared is greater than 25. So then I would square root both of these, and you can get that to 2x is greater than 5. And in what region is 2x greater than 5? So where x is greater than 2.5. Okay, so that's the first one sorted. And now we need to find where 12 minus 5x minus 3x squared is greater than 0. I'll do that one in a different colour. So we can rearrange that to minus 3x squared. So we can rearrange that to minus 3x squared minus 5x is greater than minus 12. So we can ignore all of the minus signs because everything in this is minus. And to be honest, I don't really know where else to go from here. I'm really lost with this one. Definitely get at least 1 mark for this first half, but I don't really know how to work this second equation. So unfortunately, going to have to give up on this one as well. Okay, so that's the end of the paper. I'm going to mark this and see what I've got, and then we'll compare to what I got back in 2023. So this marking, teachers always complain about marking. You'll see it happen in about 10 seconds. For me, it will probably be about half an hour. So I'll be back with you then. So cue the time lapse now. Right, I'm only on question 2 and I've already found a mistake. I did not see, please give your answer as a mixed number. So the actual answer is 4 and 7 over 8. So I've got the right answer and it needed to be in the mixed number forms, but I put it as an improper fraction. So yeah, that's a bad one to miss. It's so easily done. You can easily miss stuff like that. I should have been more careful. So I'm only going to get 2 out of 3 on that question, unfortunately. Already dropped a mark. It's only question 2. Okay, and question 4, this one, the frequency polygon, I didn't really know what I was doing with this one. I'm wrong again, I've only got 1 mark because you needed to plot at midpoints. So between 0 and 5, the midpoint of that. Same between 5 and 10, you know, here, this is where it needed to be plotted from. I just did it across the entire boundary. So I only get 1 out of 2 on that one. And part B to question 5, I've made another mistake. That's a silly mistake though, because I found what B was, I should have found what not B was. That was a bad mistake. It was supposed to be 0.7. I only get, well, do I even get 1 for that? No, don't even get a single mark from that. That's 0 on that one. Another bad mistake. Okay, question 11, found another mistake. I got the 3x to the 7 correct, but it was actually y to the 2. I'm not entirely sure where that was from, but yeah. Yeah, I would definitely have to investigate why that, because I would thought the minus 4, because it's divided, would then become 4, as the 3 did become 2. As the 3 did become minus as well. I don't know, so it's y to the 2, so I'll only get, see how many marks I would even get for that. So it looks like I'll only even get 1 mark from that, so not great. It was a 3-mark question, only getting 1. Okay, question 14b, apparently it was 5. I might have been able to work it out eventually, but no, nowhere near. So that's how many is that? That's 3 marks dropped there. That's not good. Question 17, apparently the answer was x equals 3y plus 28 over 8 minus 5y. Sorry, I couldn't get that. It's a bit of a shame, but 4 marks as well. It's quite a big loss. Same with the carrots and tomato ones. Apparently the answer was 30 and 54. If you want to work it out, you're going to have to do it yourself, because I don't know how they got that. And question 20 as well. Apparently it was 5x minus 2 all squared. Don't know why I didn't get that one. I thought I did everything right on that as well. That's a surprise. And because I didn't write any working out, I can't even get the 1 mark from it. So that's why you always write your working out, I guess. Question 21 as well. Lose all the marks on that. What was the answer? It was the answer was 71 for everyone who wanted to know at home. Yeah, I get 0 marks on that. Question 22 though, the cube. It was 30. Okay, that was a bit of a guess, but I did have the right working out though. So I do get the 2 on that. I was very lucky. Question 23, I was nowhere near. If you want to know the answer, it was 10 root 3 plus 27 over 39. So didn't get that one. And question 24, the last one. And I was nowhere near on this one either. That's 5 more lost marks. Great, I'm going to add this up and we'll see what I've got. I don't think it's good though. So these are the grade boundaries for the Edexcel GCSE higher paper. So we're looking at June 2023 here. So GCSE Maths is made up of 3 papers. So obviously I've only just sat 1. So I got 48. So the best way we can estimate it is we just do 48 multiplied by 3, assuming I got the same on every paper. So 48 times 3 comes out to 144, which is actually 1 mark off a 7. So in the real exam, I actually got a 7. My exact mark when I did it in 2023 was 171, so I was 3 marks off of an 8. So back in 2023, I was just below an 8, and now I'm just below a 7. I've somehow gone down after 2 years, in which I did A-level maths over that 2 years. I've gone down. So this was a strange experiment. Not the result I was expecting, not the result I wanted, but an interesting experiment nevertheless. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if there's any other videos you want to see from me, because I'm running out of ideas. But I hope to see you in the next video.